Hello everybody, a very warm welcome back to MEC-TEC. This is getting like Groundhog Day, isn't it? Standing in the same spot next to the same car, doing almost the same thing but a different bit. As you would have seen from the last Puma video, I ran out of welding gas at the end of the last video and I couldn't finish off that inner seal. So I've now got a new bottle of gas and we need to crack on and get this thing welded up. So let's crack on, get that inner seal that I made in the last episode welded in completely, and then we can carry on and investigate what is lurking at the back of the car. And I've got a funny feeling it ain't gonna be good. Let's crack on, get some work done. Right, I thought I'd hit the record button, but I obviously hadn't. You would have seen there in that bit of time lapse I've finished the seam welder across the top of there, give it a little clean up with a wire brush, and I've also, the bit I missed filming was all these plug welds, which I've done all the way along the bottom there now, around the reinforcer inside, and I've done the little seam at the front there too. So that is now fully welded in, absolutely mega strong. Just show you the inside. Hopefully you better see it too. Oh, hang on, let's spin it round. So, bars on the screen. There we go. It's not. I've gone over a couple of bits from the inside, but most of this is from the outside where it's obviously penetrated through, which is really good. So all I've got to do is go down that edge up there. I've not gone up this side yet. Oops, I'm not showing you, am I? Not gone up this side yet. I just need to finish that edge off. Give it a good old clean up with the grinder, and then we should be moving on to finding out what lurks below this slot. Now I'm going to have to cut this a bit higher. I thought I was going to have to, so I've marked on there where the panel goes up to, so I know my maximum I can go up to. I don't want to go up to that yet. Probably go maybe halfway, because I need to get to this reinforcing panel to be able to get that out of the way to sort out the bit behind, because obviously, as you can see, there's a hole right there where my finger was, which obviously is not supposed to be there. And chances are we're going to find similar on the floor behind there as well. So I'm going to give this a clean up with a grinder, finish that last little bit up on that corner up there inside. It's very difficult to film in there because I can't get in there and film at the same time because there's not enough room. So I'll show you that after. I'll give this a good old clean up with a grinder, and then I'll come back to you and we'll carry on. Right, there we go. That is all ground down. You can just about see the outlines of the spot welds there where I've just left a little bit on top. I am pretty pleased with that. It looks really neat. I know I didn't need to grind down that top weld in there, but you know, I just wanted it to look nice. I flushed off this area because obviously this area needs to be clamped on when the new outer seal goes on. I've also flushed off this front. In fact, I've missed a bit there. I've also flushed off that front bit there. So that is all done now. I'll just show you the inside. Hang on a second. Get the light in there. It looks really, really neat actually. I'm quite chuffed. Obviously you can see it's been welded. I'm not trying to hide it, but obviously once this is all cleaned up nice, maybe a bit of seam sealer over it or whatever, I reckon that will look really neat. You can see I've got nice, quite like that effect. I have to get bars on the screen. Quite like that effect there, where the welds show through from the other side. It just shows through and looks nice and neat. So yeah, I'm really chuffed with that. That's really good. It is mega strong. This is all tied in, as you would have seen. You can see where the spot welds have come through, which is obviously good. It means it's got good penetration on the weld. So now I'm going to, as I said before, get this rear quarter cut up a little bit higher, and then we'll delve into that back half and see what that's got in store for us, and go from there. Top banana. Right, I've cut off another strip. As you can see, I saved you the agony of watching me do that because you'd already seen me cut this before, and I am still struggling on what to do next, to be honest with you, because of this reinforcing panel here. Now obviously I need to get to this inner seal and I need to cut it up there, which means I've got to get this off to be able to get to that. So at the moment I'm thinking what I'm going to have to do is cut it straight across here. I'm not showing you, sorry, cut it straight across here, and unpick it layer by layer, because there's about 3 layers if you look at it in there, and it goes right back to this with this bit inside. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a tricky one, this, I think. Not 100% sure I'm going to do it yet, so I'm just going to start sort of picking away at it and seeing how I get on, and then obviously I need to get back to that inner seal again to be able to replace all that, because it's as rotten, if not worse, than what this front section was. So yeah, I'm sort of scratching my head at the minute to what to do next, so I'll come back to you when I've got a bit more of a plan. Right, having got back to the inner seal, it's not looking good back here. As you can see, I'm now in the wheel arch and all around this rear axle beam where it mounts on, and it is literally falling away. So I'm in a bit of a world of pain at the moment, to be honest with you. I think I'm going to have to drop this rear axle, which isn't a hard job. It's only 4 bolts on either side. Problem is it's sitting on the axle. So I'm not really sure how I'm going to keep the whole back end of the car up in the air at the moment without having the axle in it, because obviously usually we'd put the jack or the stands or whatever on a block of under the seals. But obviously I'm working on the seals, so it's like, what do you do? Kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place at the moment. So I think the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark out, I'm going to clean this with some brake cleaner, because this is covered in wax. Clean this with some brake cleaner. Mark out where I'm going to cut this in a seal, same as I did down there. Obviously go up to this edge of this mounting point, come down, probably go up to this flat edge up here and follow this curve up here, and then cut that out. It goes into the wheel arch, as you can see it meets there. It's like a lip on the back of that wheel arch which it meets on, which I assume spot welds to it, which is going to be tricky to do because obviously I can't get inside it. And yeah, it's going to be a case of sort of cutting that off and then seeing again where we go from there. This is like a voyage of discovery all over again. Done that front half and I thought the front half was worse. I'm having second thoughts about that now. I'm thinking that this back half is actually probably, well, it's not worse, but it's just as difficult, maybe worse when we get more into it, because we might find even more, I don't know. But yeah, it's spreading. I think I'm gonna have to get this arch liner out as well and see what exactly is behind there, because it's not looking too good at the moment. Right, after cutting even more away, as you can see inside that arch there, and I've got the arch liner out. It doesn't look that great inside that arch either on that bottom edge, but we'll worry about that later. I've cleaned up the wax oil off of this, and as you can see I've drawn a sort of a line across the top of that ridge, and then it goes sort of straight across there because I can't get up there anymore to get in without cutting more out, and I don't really want to cut more out. So that's where I'm going to go to, because that is good metal up there. So, and then obviously come down the side where that right angle is, down the side of this seatbelt mount. Really lucky that this is still all right. So probably one of the only bits of the seal that was still all right. But obviously a lot of these inner bits that I've cut off, I'm going to have to obviously weld back on again. But I'd much rather do that and do a better job of the inner seal so that it will last, rather than try and cut corners now, you know. So I'm going to attempt to cut this section out now. I'll have to drill these spot welds out, and then we'll actually see inside the chassis rail of the monobody or monocoque chassis, or whatever you want to call it, and see what it's like inside there, because obviously I don't know. If you looking at it from this side, it don't look very good, but we'll see. So let's get this cut off and I'll come back to you in a second. Right, there is our bit cut out on the floor, and that's what's left behind it. This is definitely worse than I thought. I know it was going to be a bit bad, but this is pretty bad. I think I'm going to have to drop the axle. Now the only way I can think of doing that at the moment is by putting a couple of my big ramps underneath the tow bar and supporting it on the tow bar and doing it that way. It's the only thing I can think of at the moment, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to do there yet, but by the looks of it, as you can see there, all that lip needs repairing, and really to do that properly the axle's going to have to come out, because I need to clean up all underneath there anyway. So yeah, at the moment that's what it's looking like, but I'm going to give this a clean up with a wire brush and a grinder now and see what I'm left with, and then obviously make a decision from there on what I've got to do. This is not good. Look up in that wheel arch as well behind the shock. I mean, it's only surface thrust, but yeah, you can see right through the wheel arch now. Look. So yeah, it's progressing, but it's one step forward, 5,000 steps back. Right, I've spent a bit of time off camera cutting out the first small piece that I need to repair, and I've made up a new piece, as you can see, off of that, what's left of that. You can see it's got a slit cut up it to that to bend, so I've done the same on mine. Drilled the spot welds, there's a couple in not quite the right place, but this bit goes in this section here next to the seatbelt mount, and it doubles up over the top of that other piece that's in there, so that is a double section of floor there. So I'm just cutting in that small square. I'm going to plug weld it back to that piece originally. I'm going to plug weld that hole up there first, and then I'm going to get that fitted in there, and probably tack it in a few places and hammer it about to get it into the right shape, because it is a bit of a weird shape, and then get it welded all around, and that'll be the first piece of the back half of the floor fixed. Then we're going to have to go along and probably make a new lip for this, because it is gone there. There's a hole in there, you can see. It's strong in places but very thin in others, and this whole back section near the rear axle is completely gone. So yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that yet, but we'll get there in a minute. I'm going to get this piece welded in, and then I'll come back to you and we'll carry on. Right, it's the next day. I got cheesed off for this last night and gave up. So I've come back to it this morning with a fresh head. As you would have seen from that bit of time lapse, I got welded all the way around, and I got to this corner and it started blowing holes everywhere. So there must have been a weak bit of metal there. But as you can see now, I've managed to chase it a little bit and fill it up, and it looks okay. And it is mega strong. I'll just prove it to you. Sorry about the bars on the screen. I'm trying not to get bars on the screen, but that is strong. and as you can see from underneath, it looks pretty good under here too. You can see obviously where I've welded it around the edge. You've got plug welds at this end, a plug weld in the middle there, and one further down here as well. And obviously that then creates our new lip. Now it did shape up like this originally, but obviously then that gets covered by the inner seal, so it doesn't matter what shape this is really, and there is supposed to be a gap there as well, so that is exactly how it was as per factory. So that bit's now strong. It's plug welded through here too. Hopefully you can see that. I've got two plug welds, one there, into that seatbelt mount, so that is mega strong. Next job now, I'm going to have to try and rig something up with this at the back here. I think I'm going to have to use the tow bar and get the car on the tow bar itself, so I can take these axle stands away to be able to drop this mount down, because it is too close here. Forget the light. It is too close here to be able to cut that back enough to weld it in, with that axle being there, that beam being there. So yeah, I don't need to take the whole thing out. I can just drop this half down like that, away from where I'm working. But it obviously means I can't support it on axle stands on it, so I'm going to have to bodge something up with some ramps or something underneath the tow bar and have it on the tow bar. So hopefully that will work all right. So I'm going to work on that. When I've got that sorted out, I'll come back to you. It's going to be a bit of jiggery pokery, so I probably won't film it, but I'll show you what I've done once I'm there. Right, this isn't sketchy at all. So what I've come up with is two old Citroen C1 wheels off the old Citroen C1 over there. Obviously they're the old steels, so they're in the garden rotting anyway. And the girder that I've got, which I use for my panel beating, is sitting on that tow bar, and it obviously spreads the load on those wheels. Now if I rock it, it goes from side to side, but it is well safe enough. I'm not going to be doing anything like that on it, so I'm going to call that good. I think that's going to be all right, to be honest with you. So that allows me access now to get the front of the axle beam free. I'm going to get those unbolted. They are held in with 4, I think they're either 17mm bolts. I'll unbolt those, get it dropped down, and then we'll look at what we've got underneath. So I'll get it unbolted and I'll come back to you in a second. Right, with that axle now dropped down, as you can see there, as I say, it's 4 bolts, and they're actually only 13mm, believe it or not. I thought they were much bigger than that, but anyway. It looks like we've caught this just in time. It's just starting to get a little bit of surface rust around the edge of that, where that mounts on. There's nothing too horrendous there. It's all solid, so that's good. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out this lip from up here, where it's obviously a bit better metal, and I can weld it on, and I'm going to make a new lip that goes right the way down to, well, I don't know if to go all the way down or just down to where it's good, but there was a little bit, a rust hole is just there on this bit, so I'm probably going to go down to there, I reckon, where that gets a little bit better again, and that should be all right. So there to there, and make that new lip up, and then once that's made up and welded on, then we can actually use this piece down here that I cut off as a template and make up a new inner seal, which obviously then goes on there. But we've obviously make this end square because it's supposed to hang down, and at the moment it's a funny shape where it's obviously rotted away. So yeah, that's the plan. So I want to get on with that, and I'll come back to you when I've had a little bit more progress. Right, just show you what I've been doing. I've made up a little tiny square plate, and that is all welded in there already. I didn't see a point in showing you that. That is nicely welded in, as you can see. So that's all good and solid. That's where that little bit of corrosion was. And I've made up this panel here, which is the start of my new lip that's going to go on there. Now I'm going to have to make another section for that, and where it bends again up here. But I'm just trying to get this piece sort of in place. I'm probably going to weld it in, and then sort of cut it about and bend it a little bit as it's on there, if that makes sense. So I'm going to sort of work on this for a little bit, and hopefully I'll have something that resembles an inner seal again, or actually a chassis, part of a chassis leg, in a minute. So I'm just going to fiddle around with this, get it to fit nice, and go from there. Right, there we go. That is our first section of that chassis part in. As you can see, I've made a shape where it goes up there because that's how it was. It sloped up before, and there's a little cut out here for a drain, which is exactly how it was before, and then this slopes down exactly how it was before. Now I've been holding the original over the top to copy it, so I know exactly where it all goes, and I'm pretty pleased with that. That's come out well. So now the next thing I'm going to do now is break out the old CAD cardboard aided design, because I need to make up a section from go to here, from here to here. I hope you can see that on camera where I've got my hand. Let me get you set up a little bit better on the old tripod, and hopefully you'll be able to see all right. Right, so basically all I'm going to do is try and shape a piece of cardboard here first of all, to obviously get the shape right. It's a lot easier to do it in cardboard than it is cutting bits of metal. Where's my scissors gone? Lost my scissors. Literally in 2 seconds. Oh, there they are. Right, so I'm basically just going to start cutting a sort of funny shape out of this, because I need to work out, it's got to go around there like that. That was a good guess, wasn't it? Look at that, I didn't even measure that. Lovely. Love it when a plan comes together. Right, so this has got to overlap this slightly, but not much. And I'm pretty sure this bit, it had the slope in it again. Now, I did have the bit that I cut off that end. Here it is. Let's have a little look. Yeah, it's slightly, very slightly shorter. So not much, but just a little bit. So basically all I'm going to do is get that there, draw around it with the old Sharparoonie, and cut it out basically, and we'll do it again same as we did a minute ago with that other bit, and it'd be better if I went behind there, wouldn't it, because I'm not going to go with the shape. Approximately something like that, as long as I know roughly where I've got to go. I know those are my 2 corners, and I've got to make that the same distance all the way around effectively. So I'll run that round there with a pen. I'll get that made up and I'll come back to it in a second. Right, there we go. That is our new inner lip on our sort of partial chassis leg, remade. It's all mega strong, it's all welded in nice, and it's actually come out a lot better than I thought it would, so that's quite good. I did give it an extra bead of welder, you would have seen the time lapse, over the top of that bit there to tie it in with the reinforcing plate behind for the axle mount, so that is even stronger than it would have been originally. Now there is some more right up here, but I'm hoping that it's only going to be the outer panel, if anything, that's going to need repairing, and that inner is going to be quite strong. So I think I'm going to leave that for now, because obviously I'm concentrating on the seal. We'll worry about this arch after, because otherwise I'm going to be chasing my tail. So next thing I'm going to do now is get this inner piece made. That is our inner seal panel. Get that made, and then we can get that welded in, and that is the inner part of the structure rebuilt. Then we've got a pile of panels that we've got to weld back in here that I cut out to be able to get to this in the first place, so that's going to be interesting. But yeah, it's coming along quite well actually. I'm quite pleased, so yeah, let's get this next panel made and get it fitted. Right, I've now got some weld through primer on the inside of there and on the inside of this panel too. So what I'm going to do is get this in place, get it clamped on with a couple of pairs of grips, just get it tacked in, and then I want to get the main seal and just offer it up to the car and make sure that the height of the bottom of this when it runs along here is right, because obviously there's nothing there to work to, so I'm trying to obviously get it as straight as I can. So I'm going to get that done, and we'll have a look and see what the seal fits like in a minute. Right, as you can see, I've got that seal panel clamped on just temporarily with a couple of grips up there, and as you can see, my panel behind is slightly lower, but I'd much rather it be like that, because obviously we can trim that to fit once it's all welded on. So that's just tacked on there behind it at the moment, so I'm pleased it goes right the way up to where it needs to be there, and obviously then goes behind, which is absolutely fine. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'd say I'd much rather have it like that than too short, because obviously then you've got nothing to weld to. So I think we're good on that side of things. I'm just going to obviously have another little look at it from underneath and make sure that everything's all right, but by the looks of it we are looking good. So once I've just checked this on the back side, I'll get this unclamped and we'll get that inner seal inside there welded in for good. Right, I've just taken this off for one last time, obviously because it was only tacked, it was very easy to get back off. I only put like 4 tacks or 3 tacks on it, and as you can see now, while it was on there, I marked up where this chassis rail ran, and I've drilled a series of holes for all the plug welds to go right the way down and all the way along the edge. So that will run obviously all the way along here and all the way up there to where it ends. So now we can finally get this welded on for good, and it should be absolutely marvellous. And then we can have a look at maybe getting those reinforcing panels that I cut off earlier on back on there in the correct places again, so that I know that's all buttoned up, and at least then I know that the inner structure is basically complete. So that is really, really good. So let's crack on, get this welded in, and then we'll come back and have a look at those. Right, there we go. That is all welded in, as you would have just seen, all the way around, seam welded and plug welds all the way along that inner rail. So I'm going to give this a clean up now, same as I have with that side. Get it all cleaned up nice, get it all flat, and then I need to try and do the worst puzzle in the world and put all this lot back together in some sort of a semblance that I can make a new panel out of some of it, and get it all put back on the car. Now some of these bits I'm going to reuse, that bit I'm going to reuse, that bit I'm going to reuse, this bit and this bit possibly I'm going to reuse, these bits I need to try and get them in some sort of order because I've cut them out in separate times, and I need to obviously make a new panel for this inner in here, which joins on and then joins down to here. So that's going to be probably the next task after I've cleaned all this up. So yeah, not sure how long it's going to take me, but as I say, it is a bit of a puzzle, and I might have to look at old video because I can't remember how it all goes. Right, this is what I've come up with for this particular panel. I've tacked these two bits back on because they're the bits I cut off originally, and obviously I cut the whole thing off, so then I'll put them back on so I know what I've got. Now this is also had a piece on the end here. Take me up a glove off, hang on a second, because I've got one glove on and one glove off. Right, this piece I've cut off the end here because I'm going to use this because it's got this little shape in it and it sits going backwards like that into the wheel arch. So I'm going to tack that back on the end once I've made the new panel. So we disregard that for the minute, and I'm just working on this flat piece which I've laid on my old template that I used for that piece there. Or was it that piece there? That piece there, one of the two. I think it was that piece there. Anyway, and when you look at this, it's got a lip on the bottom which folds back, and it's approximately the same height as this panel. So what I'm going to do is I've marked it out with the holes. I'm going to cut it the same height as this one because that will allow me to have that lip there to bend back. I've also measured between, if I show you on here, you can see the hole that should be there between this point and this point, and I've measured that. Ignore this small hole because I say that's off the old template. It's this big one we're looking at now, and this piece which sits on there, which I cut off, then makes that up there. So that is the plan. So basically I'm going to cut this template down there, and then I'm going to use this template to obviously make my new bit of material to go on, and then I can cut out these two big holes, and then I can bend the lower. In fact, I might bend the lower bit first just so it's a bit stronger. And with these ridges that are in it, obviously they taper off towards this bottom because then it folds backwards on itself, so they kind of have a taper and fold backwards. So rather than try and make these, I'm going to make it flat again like I did last time, and when I weld it in, I'm going to weld it on the high points along here. It's only three, or there's only three low points rather I should say. So I'm going to weld them on the high points, and obviously once it's welded either side, I will then tap the new panel back to fit in the shape of this, which will then allow me to weld it across. So they'll taper off earlier than what they would because obviously they're up there still, but that should work quite well. That's my thinking. So I'm going to get this drawn up on a piece of steel now, get it cut out, and then get the bottom edge bent over, and then we can cut the holes out, and then we should be able to get that bit welded in. And what I'm going to do, this would have originally been spot welded, I think, to the inside of this seal panel. Now I can't do that because I've got no way of doing it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to fold it backwards the same way, and I'm going to tack it, or not tack it, but I'll put a nice little sort of stitch weld, if you like, onto this panel, so this isn't just flapping about inside, because obviously if you're going over bumps and stuff and this isn't actually attached to anything, it's going to rattle and vibrate. So I'm actually going to fix it to that inner seal, and I'll do the same on that front part that we need to remake as well. So yeah, that is the plan. So I'll get that cut out, and I'll come back to you once I've got something made up. Right, having done a little bit of on and off with this panel, I've realised I've made it slightly too deep, so I've actually marked it using the panel up here now. I slotted it in behind it and marked it with that line. If I'd have put it in like that, it would have been too deep, and the overseal panel, the proper outer seal, wouldn't have fitted on. So I'm going to reduce that down slightly. It's going to be exactly the same height as this, which I've now welded back on, which is that little end piece, and it's going to go in there nicely. So I'm going to cut that off, get that lip cut off the top there, and then we can get this piece welded in, and it should be absolutely marvellous. Right, there we go. That is that inner reinforcing paneling. Now initially I was going to actually make some tabs to link this to that rear panel, but having looked at it, it's pretty strong. This end's obviously held by the arch, and this end will be held by this little support panel, which you just saw me cleaning up a minute ago. Just put some weld through primer on both, and then I can get this piece welded back in up here. That will hold that part strong, and then we can look at the piece that goes over the top of that, which I can't actually see at the moment. I'll put it somewhere and can't. Oh, there it is there. This piece, that bit's got to go back on as well. So yeah, we're progressing well actually. I had to do a few little modifications. I might modify this hull a bit more, because obviously now I've shortened it, the top of the hull isn't right, if that makes sense. So I'm going to try and maybe level that up a bit. You're never going to see it, but it's just for my peace of mind more than anything else. This one looks okay. This is a bit of a weird shape, this one anyway, so that looks good, and it's all nice and strong, and it's going to tie in that arch nice and everything else. So yeah, really chuffed with that. It's not come out too bad. I managed to hit those pieces in, as I said. I had to do it after, once it was all welded all the way along on the outer pieces. I then used a piece of metal rod and tapped those bits in, because obviously then the rest of the panel's holding it strong, and you can get a decent hit on it and knock them in, and then that welded up nice. So that's worked out pretty well. So yeah, it's not too bad for a plum. Right, there we go. I've got that extra piece now welded in. 2 plug welds under here, and it's seam welded up under there. Can't see all that well, but it is welded up there. I haven't bothered grinding that down because you're never going to see that. So that's that bit in. Now this bit down here, that sits like that over the top. But if you remember from the very start, when I started looking at the rot, there's this piece which actually is supposed to join onto the bottom of that. So it sort of sits something like that. I can't remember how it goes now, but it's kind of, can't do it one-handed, but it's something like that. So what I'm going to do before I weld this piece on, I'm going to make up a new section for this and weld them together off the car, because obviously it's a lot easier to weld up the right way than it is under there. So that is what I'm going to do with that, but that will probably be in the next episode, because I am running out of time. I need to get this video edited for you and out on Friday evening. So there we go. It's looking really, really good. I'm well chuffed with how that's coming out. Not bad, not bad at all for a wally brain like me. I'm quite pleased. Right then, that is going to be it for this episode on MEC-TEC. I've run out of time this week. I've been on this pretty much every day, doing all the bits that you've seen in this video, and it is now Friday lunchtime. I need to get this video edited for you for Friday evening, so you've all got something to watch and laugh at over the weekend. So I'm going to need to get this sorted out ASAP. So I'm going to have to stop there, and we'll carry on obviously in the next video, getting those last few inner panels welded in, and then we can finally put the outer seal back on and hopefully make it look somewhere half decent again. Obviously we've got to do the arch as well, so that's going to be a bit of a time consuming one, I think, but we'll get to that when we get to it, because I'm doing it in stages. Best to look at each section at a time rather than looking at the whole picture, because otherwise you look at it and think, I'm never going to get this done. Whereas if you look at each bit at a time, break it down into small pieces, it's not so bad. So there we go. Right, if you do like projects like the old Puma, like the freewheel van, like the other menagerie that I've got on the channel, I've got well over 130 videos on the channel now. Make sure you look at my back catalogue if you haven't already seen them. And make sure you do 4 things for me: like, subscribe, share, and hit that notification bell. You would have seen in a few of the time lapses a little graphics I put up on screen saying subscribe and the bell icon flashing up. My dad's idea, he said I should do that. So hopefully that will encourage a few of you to hit the button a bit more on the subscribe side of things, and obviously the notification bell to tell you when I upload a video. Remember, I've got Instagram, MEC_TEC1985, and I have got Facebook, MEC-TEC, for little sneak peeks during the week of what I'm up to. And all that's left me to say is thank you very much for watching, and if you want to join me soon for more automotive adventures, I will see you again next time. Cheers guys.